Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League show. We are here in week number 9 and it is still way too early to call this league right now. We've got 3 teams all sat on a 5-3 record, 2 teams on a 4-4 record, 2 teams sat on a 3-5 and 1 on a 2-5. It's so difficult to call right now. It's so close. This is exactly what we would have wanted from the league. As we've said many times before, anyone can beat anyone. But before we get into today's games, I just want to cover a few things about today's games. We had 2 games that unfortunately had a few technicalities. The first one was during ShadowKings and Aurora Articuno. Unfortunately, Gus Dynamaxed the wrong Pokemon. He brought the Gmax Lapras and Dynamaxed a different Pokemon. This caused the game 1 loss. And in our final game between Newcastle Thunderers and Long Island Goomies, in game 2, Dave unfortunately brought the wrong team, brought a different team to the one he brought at game 1, which caused the game 2 loss. I've not shown these games in the highlights, so that is why the ShadowKings Aurora Articuno will be pretty short, and the final game is a little bit shorter than it would have been as well. But just thought I'd address those before we get into the games. Before we get on to that though, let's have a look at the league table. As you can see, Bulu Boys, Miami Heat and Long Island Goomies all sat on the 5-3 record. Bulu Boys at the number 1 spot for a 5th week in a row. Toed Star Belgrade and the Surfers both joint 4-4 in 4th, 5th place. And then at the bottom there, we've got 3 teams on 3 and 5. Just a complete symmetrical split in the league right now. But there's some big games coming up. We've got the Bulu Boys taking on the Aurora Surfers, Miami Heat take on Toed Star Belgrade, Long Island Goomies are taking on Newcastle Thunderers, and a big bottom of the table clash between Aurora Articuno and ShadowKings. One of them is going 4 and 5. The other one will be going to 3 and 6. So let's take a look at our first game though. We have got Toed Star Belgrade taking on Miami Heat. Obviously, Toed Star losing out last week to the Long Island Goomies in a 2-1 fashion. The Toed Star with a completely brand new lineup. It's a hard rain team right there. And Latvian getting the 2-1 victory over Gus last week. So both getting the same result as their first week opponent in the reverse fixture. So very difficult one to call this. Last time these two played, it was an incredibly close battle with Toed Star Belgrade just coming out on top there. Kindred and Ludicolo, really big hitters for that team. Obviously, the Lightning Rod Raichu as well, a really big heavy hitter for that team if it can get a Thunder off, and obviously stops any electric moves going off. Politoed, the Rain Setter, and Torracat as well with the Intim coming in there, giving Toed Star quite a few options. Bishop as well, we saw come out last week, but didn't really sort of get to see it use its full potential. We saw the use of Defiant there, but Lat will have to be quite careful not to proc that. On the side of Latvian though, you know, we saw the new ones come out. We saw the Fungus and the Machamp come out against Gus last week. Fungus with the Rage Powder and Spore usage could be really, really big this week if he's able to get it off. I would have thought Torkoal would come just as a way to reset the weather, but, you know, it's a difficult one to call. I don't think Cinderace comes this week, but, you know, you never know with Lat. He probably has a trick up his sleeve. But regardless of that, let's get into our first game of this week. It's Toed Star Belgrade taking on Miami Heat. And leading the line for Toed Star Belgrade is Kingdra and Torracat. Is Torracat going to get that Intim and get the attack drops on the Slowbro and Lipad? Not going to matter too much the Slowbro because it is a special attacker, but all the same, it's good to have out there. And yeah, here we go then. Lipad and Slowbro. So Lipad does have the copycat ability and Prankster. So if Slowbro does elect to go for a max guard, if it Dynamax is here, Lipad could get the Trick Room off, and that's going to be really, really useful against Rio's team. Obviously, there's 2 Swift Swim users in there, and with the Rain Set of Politoed, will allow those Swift Swim abilities to come off. But there's a bit of a screen freeze there as we go into this first turn. Hopefully that's going to fix itself. Let's see. Apologies for this, guys. There we go. So Bishop swapping in for the King. The Slowbro going for the Dynamax. Are we going to see that move? Protect comes out from the Lipad though. Fake out that stops the Lipad from being fake out. Max Ooze though hitting the Bishop. That's switching, working out so well. Bishop obviously not affected by the poison moves, and that is he's completely read him like a book there, stopping one of Slowbro's Dynamax attacks going off, and really great read from Rio there to stop Lat getting the special attack boost off. and that could really work in Rio's favour here. Obviously, no G-Max Snorlax again, so Rio is completely free to Dynamax whatever he wants. And on the side of Lat, there's no Cinderace, so he's also free. But the Fake Tease comes out from the Lipad that's immune on the Bioshock. Taunt comes out from the Torracat. That's Lipad don't use any of its status moves. Max Darkness hits into the Slowbro, gets us with Death Drop and drops it at 30% HP. Max Geyser setting up the rain for Rio. That's quite a brave move there, not really doing all that much to the Bioshock. He's maybe trying to bait it in so he can get the Torkoal in the next turn to stop it going off. He's maybe expecting a switch in now that the rain is up. But that is a good start for Wio. Obviously no Mons down just yet, but you know he's got the stat drops on both Mons side there, and Bisharp is completely walls the Slowbro. So in comes Machamp. Maxcart comes out from the Slowbro, parting shot into the Machamp, so the Torracat's going to switch out. That's another great read. In comes Kingdra, which will work great in the rain. Max Starters hitting the Slowbro, and that Slowbro's Dynamax ended. Slowbro just kind of hanging around. Bisharp has another 10 on Dynamax. As I said, Kingdra is obviously evidently going to go first here in the rain with its Swift Swim ability. If it can take out one or the other here, that's in a bit of a bad spot. We know Hurricane is being run on that Kingdra. Hurricane obviously always hitting under the rain. Bisharp has the type advantage over the Slowbro. Hits a Max Darkness at that Slowbro, and it's going to be game set and match for that Slowbro. Slowbro swaps out though, the Fungus comes in. Hurricane hits at the Machamp, but Machamp surprisingly tanks that. It does get the confusion off though, which can be quite big. Max Darkness hits into the Fungus. Fungus tanks that and takes down about 40% HP. Gets another Death Drop. Dynamic Punch comes out though from the Machamp in the Bisharp, and Bisharp goes down, and it's not even one apiece. Obviously Lat not losing that Slowbro, but all of his Mons now down to quite low health. Intim comes out from the Torracat. Torracat swapping in, and Machamp's attack dropped even further, which is not good for the Machamp. It's a stout physical attacker, and if it's completely walled here, it can't really do a lot. So what can Kingdra do? Kingdra has the type advantage over both. He could Hurricane either here, but the double switch in from Lat, that's pretty safe. Hurricane comes out, Lipad is able to live that. Flare Blitz into the Slowbro, that's going to take the Slowbro out, and that is finally one apiece. Lat though with 3 Mons all on pretty low HP though. The Fungus, the Machamp, and the Lipad all just sort of not really able to do very much here, and Rio has 3 Pokemon all still on pretty much full health. Fungus now comes in, and the Lipad is not going to live another attack. You would have thought this. Either way, it's in a bit of a bad spot. If that Fungus takes a Hurricane from the Kingdra, that's going to be it for the Fungus. This could very quickly domino effect for this first game here if Lat's not able to even maybe if he can get a Rage Powder off or something. But if he's not able to sort of stall this out, it's going to just sort of roll on from here, and Rio's going to be able to just landslide the win with this game 1. But as we know, Latvian he's got a lot of things. But there's the Hurricane into the Fungus. Fungus is gone. Taunt comes out onto the Lipad. Lipad now gets a Snarl off the Lipad, but all it can do is just drop that special attack at the Kingdra, which could be really, really useful. Kingdra obviously a pretty strong special attack, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. Machamp is on such low health that Lipad, all it can really do is sit and Snarl. Obviously all of his status moves are now stopped by the Taunt. I think this is going to be game 1, and a pretty solid win. The rain comes back out from the Politoed. Hurricane hits into Machamp. That Machamp is now gone. Snarl comes out from the Lipad again, dropping that special attack a little bit further, but that's pretty much, as we said, all the Lipad can do here, and it's only going to do a tiny bit of chip damage to both Mons here. I think this is going to be game 1. Hurricane comes out, drops Lipad down to the 4% HP. Snarl hits into the Politoed, it misses though, and Politoed is going to get the finishing kill here with the Scald, and that is game 1 to Wheels Toed Star Belgrade. A great game from Wheel there, some really great reads. And Latvian choosing the same lineup again as Rio, Kingdra and Torracat come out. Lipad and Slowbro on the side of Latvian. Is Latvian maybe going to go for that trick win play that he didn't try last time round? Obviously there is that fake out pressure from Torracat, so that's maybe why he didn't risk it for a biscuit. But is it worth going for just on the off chance that Rio doesn't fake out? It's very hard to tell, and that's sort of like the advantage you have when you've got either a Follow Me Mon or a Fake Up Mon. You've got that pressure there. You don't even have to follow me. You can completely bait them in and call that bluff, and that gives you a great advantage, especially from turn 1 here. If you can nullify at least one Mon with a flinch, you're looking pretty damn good. So what have we got? on both sides here. Both coaches taking the time to decide what they want to do. No timer being set for these two players, both with pretty bad internet issues as we've seen in the past. So, you know, both electing not to set a timer. There's the quick draw from the slow bro. Bishop swaps in for the Kingdra. Protect comes out from the Lipard for the fake out into the slow bro though. Max Gaz hits the Bishop, takes it down to about half HP. Sets up the rain again for Rio. Rio maybe could have stayed in for the Kingdra there, but obviously Rio was trying to bait in that max ooze from the slow bro again. Latvian not falling for it for a second time, so smart plays there. He might have set up the rain for him, but that is at least going to nullify Toracats for any sort of attacks. I would have thought Toracat is potentially going to go for the parting shot here, try and blow that slow bro's special attack. So slow bro knows it can't max ooze into the Bishop at the very least here, and can't get that special attack up. So he's got to go potentially in to the Toracat spot if he's going to go for that. Are we going to see it though? Are we going to see the copycat strat here? If Latvian can get Trick Room up, he's in a very, very, very good position. You know, that slow bro can do some really great work, especially with its quick draw ability. You know, it'll go first regardless, and it's going to be looking in a pretty good spot. That slow bro is a tank. Whether the Torkoal or the Machamp Fungus Kangaskhan comes this time, I wouldn't have thought Kangaskhan is going to come if he's going to be running the trick. Obviously Kangaskhan's a pretty speedy Pokemon. But there's the Dynamax from the Bishop again. Max Guard comes out of the slow bro. There's the copycat. There's the Trick Room setup. Max Darkness hits into the Lipard. It's going to resist that, but takes down about half HP. It does drop this death on both sides. Parting shot though is nullified. It's slow bro, obviously max guarding. So the idea was right, but not able to get it off, and now it is a very much advantage Lat. Slow bro is going to go first here, and if it can get a rain boosted Max Geyser off that Toracat's in a world of trouble. The bonus is potentially is Toracat slower than the slow bro. I'm not too sure on the speed tie with that one, on the speed stats for that one, but there is a chance that maybe Toracat goes first here unless a quick draw goes off. But there you can see there's a timer being set from Latvian and Rio, so that's very brave on both sides. But Machamp swaps in on that side. Mascot comes out from the Bishop. Max Geyser into the Toracat, takes it out. That is advantage to Lat. Slowbro's Dynamax does end. Bishop with another 10 and Dynamax to go. If it can get a Max Darkness off of the Slowbro, it's looking in a pretty solid position. But that Machamp, obviously, with the Dynamic Punch, with its no guard ability, is always going to hit, and I will 100% get the confusion each time. So if that is the risk you run with the Bishop there, and Kingdra comes in under the range. Kingdra is going to be moving dead last here. Does Rio feel confident enough that the Kingdra can live any attacks that Machamp or Slowbro have? I don't know. Obviously he feels confident enough to sort of go for it, so we'll see what happens here. What can Cutlass do here? But I said he has advantage, he has speed control, he has the Mon down. Toracat obviously no Intim, no parting shot able to go off now. So it's all down to Bishop, Kingdra, and potentially Politoed in the back there. I would have thought the rain set will be in the back. Torkoal swaps in though to swap out the rain. Protect comes out from the Kingdra. Dynamic Punch into Kingdra, that's a brave one. Max Darkness hits into the Torkoal, and that is going to drop this. But Death Torkoal now down to below 50% HP, but now it is in the sun. And unless Rio is able to swap in the Politoed, there's obviously no way to reset that weather. I would have thought that is the swap in that's going to be coming here, and if Latvian is not able to take out the Politoed, he's in a lot of trouble. Then comes the Politoed, there it is with the drizzle, the rain sets up. Eruption's not going to do absolutely anything under the rain. Dynamic Punch hits into the Kingdra, that does a lot of damage and gets the confusion off. Hurricane hits it the Machamp though, and it hits it Orcos it with that Spadef drop. The Machamp is gone, and that is now 1 apiece for both sides, 3v3. The rain is up, so that Torkoal is pretty much just completely stalled out here unless Latvian's able to swap it out for that Lipard. Slowbro now comes back in to try and get some damage done. As I said, it's got 1 turn Trick Room left, so if it's able to hang around, you could get that Trick Room set up again. But the big bulky physical attacker Machamp is gone now, so that means that there's only Lipard, Slowbro, or Torkoal to do any damage here, and while the range of Torkoal really can't do anything, we know that Lipard's only really got Snarl in its arsenal, so Latvian completely relying on Slowbro to get all the damage done here. As long as it can get a quick draw off, it's probably going to be able to take out that Kingdra, or if he elects to go for the Politoed, he might be able to take that out. Protect comes out from the Politoed. Confusion ends on the Kingdra. Protect on the Kingdra as well. The double protect. Yawn is stopped from going off. The Scald into the Kingdra doesn't go off, and that is Trick Room gone. Kingdra is now going to have all the speed here. Unless Torkoal is able to protect itself, it's Kingdra's going to be able to do a lot of work. You know, a Hydro Pump or a Hurricane is going to hit. It's going to hit hard. And that Politoed, potentially, as I said, we know it has Parasong. He might choose to run the Parasong just to apply that pressure there, cause Lap to have to swap out. That is the bonus he has there. Kingdra just hang around on just under 20% HP, so Kingdra is in a little bit of trouble here if it can't hang on, you know, depending on what Rio has in the back alongside those two. Oh well, we know it's Bisharp, so we know Bisharp's just hanging on in the back there as well. Quick Draw comes out from the Slowbro though. Lipad swaps in from the Torkoal. Helping Hand on the Kingdra. Scald hits at the Kingdra. Kingdra just about hangs on. Muddy Water hits both, and the Helping Hand in Muddy Water takes out Kingdra's Life Orb, takes out the Kingdra, but that is both Lipad and Slowbro gone. Torkoal is going to swap in to reset the weather. Obviously, we now can swap out the Politoed to get that weather reset, but Torkoal now has it all to do against a Politoed and a Bisharp. Obviously, against Bisharp, he's in a bit of a good spot for that Politoed. You know, it can do all the work here. Torkoal below 50% HP. Torkoal obviously no Trick Room, so it's going to go dead lost here. So depending on what Bisharp has in its arsenal, what Politoed can do, Torkoal's in a bit of trouble. So it's 2v1 for the game. What can happen here? Lash Out comes out. The Torkoal takes down 50% HP. There is the Scald under the Sun. The Passo Berry doesn't keep it alive. The Sun doesn't keep it alive, and that is game number 2 to Toed Star Belgrade. Rio getting the win there, and what a game. Some great reads there from Rio on the side of Toed Star Belgrade, getting the 2-0 over Miami Heat. That is a big, big win. Only Aaron's Inglorious Surfers able to get a 2-0 over Latvian so far, so that is a huge victory for that top 4. And that's going to just bring everyone closer together. You know, we said that there was 3 teams on a 5 and 3, and now there's going to be 2 teams on a 5 and 4, and potentially more depending on our next game. So let's get right on into it. We have got my Bulu Boys taking on Aaron's Inglorious Surfers. Obviously, the Surfers losing out 2-0 to Newcastle Thunderers last week. A really, really crazy game there. And I was able to get the victory over Dogsy's ShadowKings. As we spoke about last week, my team's been fully changed around. We're running a very, very different team as we were to the first half of the season. Aaron's made a few changes as well that we've got to be wary of. We know Aaron's running a pretty hard Trick Room team. If he's able to get it off here, we're in a spot of bother depending on what comes. Bully Boys, we've got sort of a few ones that are in a mid-speed tier, a few ones that are in a slow speed tier, and a few ones that are in a fast speed tier. Obviously, the Dracovish, Jolteon, Fletchinder, you know, and Pinsett, all, and well, Crocodiles, well, all moving pretty fast. Porygon 2, Hippodon, Sableye, Mawile, and the Gliscod, all, you know, able to run under Trick Room. So positionally, if things are able to go correctly, you know, there's a chance to work under Trick Room, but it depends what the Bully Boys bring. Aaron, obviously, we saw him bring the Zoroark last week with the Dug Trio and the Terrakion in the back there. Do we see it come out here? I think there's such a fairy type weakness for that Bully Boys that potentially just goes for the height and DD lead and goes from there, but there's obviously a chance to bring Riolu to get that copycat Trick Room, just like we've seen in Latvian's game. But without further ado, let's stop chatting on. But let's get straight into the game. Bully Boys taking on Inglorious Surfers. So Bully Boys leading out with the Jolteon and the Porygon 2. So that's the Trick Room pressure there from P2. So in case Aaron goes for the double Trick Room, second seed comes out on both Hatterene and the Jolteon. And there's the Indeed on the other side setting up that second terrain. So that's going to be no priority moves able to run off Jolteon. So if it is running that Baby Doll Eyes, that is one less move for Matt to work with. So what are we going to see? So obviously Aaron is now locked into G-Max that Hatterene. Depending on what Matt has in the back, he may be able to Dynamax something here, or potentially he's going to have to wait and get that Scent Scorch in to get the G-Max off. Obviously we said Scent Scorch is running in the back there. An interesting team there from both sides. As I said, Riolu and Cloyster sort of sitting in the back there for Aaron. So no Terrakion, no Zoroark this time. So Scrafty and Gigalith though have done big work for Aaron in the past. That Gigalith is a tank. Hatterene though goes for the G-Max. Follow Me comes out for the Indeedee. Lightscreen goes up for the Jolteon. G-Max might hit it the Jolteon. That's going to do very little, but does get the double confusion off the Lightscreen, and that's for Death Boost on the Jolteon. It's running a very, very tanky here. What can Jolteon do though? Are we going to see potentially a switch out here to try and keep the ball rolling? Or can P2 start getting something going? Obviously hitting the Thunderbolt off there on the Hatterene. Volt Switch comes out from the Jolteon, is going to get that free switch into the Centiskorch. Indeed, to take a little bit more damage. That is the Sash Pocket. Expanding Force comes out into both mons. That does a lot of damage, but P2 hits it something through the Max Mindstone, comes out the Hatterene, and Centiskorch just about hanging on with 1% HP. That is absolutely mental that it lived that. I really thought that Max Mindstone was going to completely take it out, and that switch would have been completely useless. I think the game would have just been a complete roll over there. Would have been quite hard to do anything there, but we're going to see the G-Max come out from the Centiskorch now. So P2 obviously can get that Trick Room set up if the Trick Room comes out from the Hatterene later on, so the longer the P2 can hang around, the better it's going to be for Bulu Boys. But you know, while that Hat has got the G-Max up and get those G-Max smites off, that confusion could be really big. In comes the Max Flutterby, takes out the DD Centiskorch, getting a kill. Recover comes out from the P2 just to keep it around. G-Max Smite into the P2, gets another confusion on the Centiskorch. That's not going to do too much to P2 through that light screen. Obviously P2 pretty tanky with that Eviolite Hatterenes. G-Max does end. In comes Gigalith with the Sandstream. That's going to give a bit of a speed F boost as well. And Centiskorch is in a very precarious position here. Obviously there's confusion. If it hits itself, it is going to be out of there. Oops. You can see me checking some damage concepts there. I didn't realise that was in the footage. Big apologies there. Just trying to see what was the best move. So Centiskorch still with that G-Max. P2 still hanging around. Obviously, if Hatterene's able to get a Trick Room off, that Gigalith's in a very good position, and P2's not in a good position. So here we go then. What can Centiskorch do? If he's able to get an attack off, he's in a very good position. If he can take out the Gigalith, or he can take out the Hatterene. Especially the Hatterene. But it hits itself in the confusion. Centiskorch is gone. Shadow Ball comes out from the P2, but with that Spindefu from the second season, not really very much. Rock Slide comes out from the Gigalith, and there is the Trick Room. Obviously, P2 still confused, so that potentially the Trick Room doesn't go off. Gigalith is going to go before it as well. If it has any kind of fighting move, P2 is in a lot of trouble. In comes Jolteon though. What can Jolteon do? Obviously, P2's got to go for that Trick Room there to try and reset and try and get something going here, but Jolteon's not in a good spot, to be honest. You know, that Gigalith, if it runs an Earthquake there, Jolteon's going to be completely gone. Baby Doll Eyes under the Psychic Terrain doesn't work out. Superpower takes out the P2, does drop Gigalith's attack and defense. Psychic gets the crit and takes out the Jolteon. That is going to be game number 1. You would have thought 3 versus 1. In comes the Drake Fish, which is just not going to work under Trick Room. Matt's got to go for the Vicious Rend here, but Gigalith swaps out from the Scrafty, gets the Intim and the attack drop. Dazzling Wing comes out, takes Drake Fish down to 17%. Vicious Rend doesn't quite take out the Scrafty because of that Intim, that attack drop. There's the Fake Out, takes out the Drakenfish. Fake Out able to do enough. Aaron wins the game 1 and we move straight on to game 2. This time it's Mawile and the Jolteon this time. Hatterene and Indeedee again for Aaron, getting that Psychic Terrain and getting that Psychic Seed up on both Jolteon and the Hatterene. Mawile obviously good pressure there, can run a Steel move potentially into that Hatterene. Hatterene's not going to enjoy taking that. But the Mars swaps out, Centiskorch comes in, Follow Me comes out from the Indeedee, the light screen sets up, and Hatterene does get the Trick Room off, which is not good for Matt. Matt obviously trying to bait something out there with the Mawile switch out, a little bit of a screen freeze there as well. And yeah, Centiskorch comes in. It's obviously going to be slightly faster than both Indeedee Hatterene, but Centiskorch has got to go for the G-Max here. And you would have thought Volt Switch is going to come out from the Jolteon just to try and get that switch in. But very much advantage Aaron. He's got that speed of Hatterene now, goes for its G-Max. It's going to go for a G-Max Smite. Can Matt do anything to stop it? There's the G-Max Smite. Centiskorch just able to tank that through the light screen, obviously running a pretty tanky speed up. Expanding Force, not doing as much. Centiskorch and Jolteon both hit themselves in confusion, though that is the risk with the G-Max Smite. Centiskorch getting the G-Max move wasted, Jolteon not able to Volt Switch out there, and that is a disaster for Matt on that 10. Obviously not really needing that, and you know, Hat is able to max Mindstorm. Centiskorch does a lot of damage on that side, it's going to do a lot. Expanding Force, not quite able to take the Centiskorch out. Centinferno comes out, that's going to take a DD down with Sash. and is the confusion ends on the Jolteon. Full switch comes out, the Indeedee is gone. Matt getting that switch in now to the Porygon 2. P2 obviously can get it if it can reset the Trick Room here. Matt's in a good spot, but however, Center Scorch not hanging on with a lot of health and is obviously still confused. Attack drop on the Center Scorch. Center Scorch not running the White Smoke this time, so gets the attack drop. That's not good news for Center Scorch, and obviously Scrafty could go for a fake out, but it's like a dream. The fake out goes out at the Psychic Terrain though. G-Max Smite comes out and the Trick Room reset comes off. Center Scorch's Dynamax is ended, but it is still confused. Patterning G-Max ends as well. So P2's being able to reset that Trick Room, which could be really great for Matt if he's got anything sort of speedy in the back. Or potentially that Mawile could do a lot of work late game to sort of take Patterning out and potentially take out the Gigalith. What has Matt got here though to try and do the damage? Obviously, Center Scorch could potentially hit itself again and take itself out, which would be really, really bad. Inside Matt, but it's very much advantage Aaron. It's 1-1 down for Aaron, but it's the Center Scorch. In comes Gigalith though, trying to anticipate the Trick Room set. Fusion ends on the Center Scorch. Flare Blitz comes out, the Hat Ring takes down the 37 HP. Center Scorch goes down. Shadow Ball from the P2 and it's not going to quite take out the Hat Ring. Hat Ring gets the Trick Room up, and that could be a disaster. Hat Ring does go down from the center final damage, so it is 3v2, but that Trick Room is up. If that P2 can't hang on to through an attack, then it's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's got to try and get that Trick Room reset up to have any chance of getting the win here. In comes Scrafty though, and in comes Mawile. Scrafty is going to get that Intim off. Mawile not running Intim on its side, obviously either Hyper Cutter or its other ability. Mawile obviously has an attacker that could take out the Gigalith, but there's potentially a fake out here on the side of Scrafty. Obviously no Psychic Terrain, he could fake out the P2, and that would be Trick Room gone. Potentially Superpower would take P2 out. But this is not a good spot for Matt to be. You know, you might have the Mon advantage, but we know Jolteon's in the back, and it's a support Jolteon. So I don't know whether Jolteon can really do anything, especially against Gigalith, who could just earthquake his face off. But it looks very much like Matt is going to go for the Trick Room to try and get it off, taking his time to try and decide what he wants to do. Gigalith and Scrafty obviously applying a lot of pressure here, which would be really, really bad. For Matt. Obviously, I think maybe Intim on the Mawile would have been better in this scenario, just to ensure that P2 would, live a superpower in close combat here from Scrafty. If Aaron does choose to double in, that is probably P2 gone, and that will probably be game as well with that speed control up. Matt taking his time here to decide what he wants to do. Obviously, could go for that recovery on the off chance that he's able to live with his superpower, or if he takes a hit from either one. What does he go for here? So, Mawile running that sheer force ability, that is going to be a bit of a buff to its attacks. So maybe that attack drop isn't going to matter too much, but we'll wait and see. Superpower comes out on the P2 from the Gigalith, drops its attack and defense. So close combat comes at the P2 from the Scrafty. That's going to take P2 out of the game, so no Trick Room reset for Matt. Ironhead comes into the Gigalith. Gigalith just hangs on it and does proc the weakness policy. That is a disaster for Matt. That is potentially going to be game now that is out. Trick Room up. Both Mawile and Jolteon are going to be too fast for Scrafty and Gigalith. And this is not a good spot for Matt. It's very much looking like a 2-0 for Aaron here. Aaron playing this very, very smartly, able to get those Trick Rooms off and taking care of the P2. And what can Matt do? Go for it. He's going to try for maybe the Baby Doll Eyes, but I don't think it's going to protect himself from the Scrafty. Gets the Thunderfight, can just get the Baby Doll Eyes, but Earthquake takes out the Jolteon. Play rough into the Scrafty. Scrafty not going down, so Mawile with 10% HP. Trick Room sub, so that Gigalith is going to go first. That is going to be it. The Baby Doll Eyes not doing enough to stop Gigalith from going down and taking her down. Superpower takes out the Mawile. That is game number 2. Aaron getting the 2-0 win over myself. Great games to Aaron. Really, really enjoyed that one. It was a bit of a shame in the first game. The confusion was a really big problem for me, and I just wasn't able to play around it. And I did have a bit of a giggle when Centre Scorch took itself out that first game. As much as I felt the heartbreak, it was quite funny. But great games to Aaron. Played that really well and more than enough deserved his victory. So let's move on to our game number 3. This one is Aurora Articuno taking on the ShadowKings. We know Aurora Articuno's team. We know that G-Max, Lapras and Dusclops are going to be coming to set that Trick Room up and proc the weakness policy. Dogsy's team, as we saw last week, obviously losing 2-0 to the Bulu boys, brought the Venusaur, G-Max, Vulpix, the Ditto, the Glare and Weezing, the Slurpuff and the Krokorok, trying to completely get the attack drops on Matt's team. Didn't quite work out for him in that one, but a lot of different avenues he could run down here. Obviously, Venusaur is going to be weak to that Lapras's G-Max move, but you know, if Venusaur is able to go first, if he's able to take care of that Trick Room runner, then ShadowKings are in a very good spot. You know that Venusaur's G-Max power whip is going to hurt a lot. Lots of different avenues you could run. There's also, as we said, there's potential of a beat up onto Cobalion there if ShadowKings, if Dogsy tries to go down that route. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but we're going to move into this one. We're going to come into game 2, as I mentioned earlier. Game 1 was a forfeit, which goes to Dogsy. So Dogsy comes into this one with the 1-0 lead. And there, as you can see on the side of Dogsy, you've got Ditto, Venusaur, Vulpix, Dragapult, Cobalion, and Krokorok. So there's a potential for that beat up play there for Dogsy. As we know, Gus's team, the Lapras, Dusclops, Titar, Executor, Alola, Vikavolt, and the Whimsicott, Alola, Executor coming this time round. So what can Gus do here to try and stall out? You know, if he's not able to get that Trick Room off, is there something that he could do to make sure he gets it up? Obviously, we know Whimsicott can run Trick Room as well, so maybe he goes. We've seen him do that before. Maybe he goes for the double support mon lead with Whimsicott and Dusclops. There's the Whimsicott. There's the Dusclops. As we said, Dragapult and the Cobalion come out. Are we going to see the beta player Assault Vest on the Cobalion, Safety Goggles on the Dragapult? Obviously, Dragapult is not going to enjoy taking a resonance from the Lapras here, but if Dogsy's able to stop the Trick Room going off here, if he's able to, maybe he can't really fake, but he's able to stop it in any way, you know, he might be able to do something. Thunderwave comes out from the Dragapult. Ironhead is into the Whimsicott, gets the flinch on the Whimsicott, the Parrot onto the Dusclops, and that is that is absolutely sensational. You know, 2 RNG there, the Para Hacks and the flinch, stopping Trick Room going off completely. And we move on to turn 2, Cobalion and Dragapult still hanging around. I would think that Gus is still going to go for the Ironhead takes out the Whimsicott though. As Dragapult getting into go, Trick Room goes off though. The light screen goes up from Dragapult trying to stop that Lapras from doing extra damage. But as I said, that Trick Room now is off. If I'm guessing Dogsy is trying to stall out that Trick Room. It looks very much like it is the light clear support Dragapult build there. I thought he maybe could have went for, you know, a ghost move into the Dusclops. We know the Dusclops is running mental hair, but there is the G-Max from the Lapras. Rocks him in the Lapras to proc the weakness policy. Drops its speed a little bit more to make sure the Lapras goes first. Resonance does take out the Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is gone, is out there. Aurora goes up. There's Brick Break from the Cobalion. Does break the screens immediately, so that smart players from Dogsy able to break the screens off. And what we seeing come in next from the side of Dogsy. Has he got something that could potentially run into the Trick Room here just to sort of alleviate that speed control? But in comes Vulpix to set up the Sun, and that's going to nullify the water move on the side of Lapras. I mean, I don't think it's going to matter too much. Obviously, Lapras has got that weakness policy proc, so I don't think that the Sun being up is going to matter too much. But if Dogs is able to do something to nullify that and stop it from running house, then there's the Protect from the Vulpix. Nightshade hits in the Growlithe, does about 30% HP. There's the Max Geyser into the Vulpix. Vulpix is going to tank that, but it does set up the rain. Bounce comes out from the Cobalion here, so it's at least going to not take a hit the next time. So obviously Gus has got to focus in on the Vulpix here to try and take it out. And Vulpix maybe goes down this next turn here, but Light Screen stays up for a little while longer. Nullifies that Lapras a little bit. Trying to stall out the G-Max, trying to stall out the Trick Room here. In comes Venusaur though, under the rain. The Nightshade hits at the Venusaur, takes it down to 70% HP. Max Lightning hits at the Venusaur. It's going to resist that, but does set up the electric terrain so that he can't get the sleep powder off. Bounce hits at the Lapras. Doesn't really do all that much, but that is Lapras's G-Max ended, and Dogsy still has his G-Max on the side of Venusaur, so he could very much go for it here, and he's in a good spot. You know, Trick Room ends this next 10. A little bit of a screen freeze there again. I do apologise for that, guys. There we go, we're back in action. Nightshade hits at the Venusaur, so no G-Max from Dogsy there. And Blizzard takes out the Venusaur, so and there's the freeze on the Cobalion as well. That is really bad news for Dogsy. This could be the comeback for Gus. In comes Vulpix with the Drought. So Dogsy still has the Dynamax on his end. If he is able to get something off here, he's maybe going to go for it with the Cobalion and just hope for the Thaw out on that first 10. Protect comes out from the Lapras. Frozen Solid Cobalion. Raw hits into the Dusclops, stops the Trick Room from going off. Vulpix slow there, and Vikavolt comes in now. Vikavolt obviously is a really, really strong Pokemon, but it only really works on the Trick Room. Another screen freeze there, as I said. I do apologise for those. Cobalion thaws out though. The Max Steel Spike hits it into the Lapras. Lapras not quite going out, going down just about getting out. Heat Wave though comes out from the Vulpix, takes out the Lapras, takes Tesla down below half HP. Thunder hits at the Cobalion and gets the Para off now on the Cobalion. It's Cobalion with the defense buff, but only just hanging around on 7% HP. What has Cobalion got here? Obviously no Trick Room up just yet, so Cobalion is going to go first. If he's able to take out that Vikavolt, then it is going to be just all up to that Dusclops to get the work done. Max Rockball hits into the Vikavolt, sets up the Sand. Vikavolt goes down, and that is going to be Sandstorm, chip damage each turn. Raw obviously failing there on the Dusclops because it is the final mon. And there you go, Dusclops has it all to do now. Paras on both sides. That Dusclops still parried from that turn 1. So we move into 10 of 10. Heat Waves hits into Dusclops, not going to do too much. Cobalion is paralysed though, and Dusclops paralysed. Sandstorm doing a bit of chip damage as well to both Dusclops and Vulpix. Cobalion not taking any hits from that though. Still just hanging around with that 1.5 times defense, but I think if it takes any hits here from the Dusclops, the defense buff is going to Heat Wave, taking Dusclops down to 50%. Iron Head into the Dusclops, taking down a little bit more. Nightshade is going to take out the Cobalion, and there's a straight fight between Vulpix and Dusclops. Vulpix's Heat Wave doing 60% the last turn, so if it does the same amount, as long as it doesn't roll, this is going to be game number 2 to Dogsy, getting that 2-0 win. As Vulpix got it in a socket, obviously it also has that 1.5 times defense, so Nightshade's not going to be able to do it. And there's the Heat Wave. Dusclops goes down. That is the 2-0 to Dogsy. Dogsy getting the big bottom of the table clash victory there. And sorry about that, guys. That is a really, really huge win for Dogsy. Obviously needing that win after losing out to Bully Boys last week. Gus not able to get it done. It's unfortunate with the game 1 forfeit, but these things happen, but we've got to follow the rules, whether it's done on purpose or by accident. So unfortunate on the side of Gus, but he does move to that unwanted 3-6 record at the bottom of the table there, but, as we say every week, still plenty of Pokemon to play, and we've still got playoffs. There's still chance for Gus to bring it back, but let's move on to our final game of the week. We have got the Newcastle Thunderers taking on the Long Island Goomies. Last time these two played at the end of the first half of the season, Silly able to get the 2-0 win over Dave's Newcastle Thunderers. It was quite a sweep in the end. Obviously, we know Goomies have only made the 2 changes, the Durant and the Comfy. Dave making the 3 with Claydol, Lantern and Type Null coming in. Dave getting a brilliant victory against Aaron's Ignorous Surfers last week, using parting shot well to his advantage, and able to just sort of stall out the Hat and the Indeedee and the Zoroark doing work there, and the Doug Trio. So Dave obviously can run a few games. We've seen Rabombi and the Aegislash come out quite a bit in recent times. We know that Instin's quite a solid mon for Dave as well. You're going to see that pretty often just to get that Intim drop and that fake out pressure. Could we see Dusknoir come again this week? Who knows? There's a potential for it. Could try and get the Trick Room up if Silly comes in with the Tailwind on the Fletchling. But there's also a potential chance for Charizard to come in as well. Not really seen Charizard quite a bit in recent weeks. Is it going to work too well if Silly chooses to bring the G-Max Airship? Probably not, but there is a chance of it. But let's move into our final game of this week. Silly versus Dave. Thunderous versus Iron Goomies, and in comes Aegislash and Instant. On the side of Silly, Weavile and Sudowoodo, not a duo we've seen in quite a while. Silly not electing to bring that G-Max Airship, not bringing anything he brought last week, so no Dracozolt. We've seen Decidueye in the team for the first time in quite a while, and Pincurchin. Fletchling is hanging around in the back there, and Mashana that is potentially there as well for a Trick Room. Aegislash running the balloon to make sure no ground moves take it out, but obviously that balloon could potentially get pops. Mashana pops in, Instant He's going to try and get that fake out. Fake out on the Sudo Voodoo. Gets the flinch, and Mashana obviously swapping in, doesn't do any attack. So Aegis Slash has a good advantage here over Mashana. Mashana is potentially going to go for that trick room. Aegis Slash is able to get a Dynamax move off here. If it does elect to Dynamax, he's in a very good position here. You would have thought that the Weavile would have stayed in just to make sure Sudo Voodoo does get that, that really supposed to proc, but obviously is running rattled, so because of that attack drop, does get the 1.5 times speed. Aegis Slash, Dynamax as a protect comes out from the Sudo Voodoo. Brick Break, not doing anything that Sudo Voodoo. Aegis Slash hits the Max Darkness into the Mashana. That's not going to quite take it out. Mashana tanking the hit that does get the speed definitely drop, and there is the Trick Room. So that's going to work out really great for the Sudo Voodoo there, if he's able to work things out. There's another Spring Freeze there, sorry guys. I don't know why these kept happening this week. There's a Psychic and Aegis Slash is not going to really do a lot. That does pop the balloon. Earthquake from the Sudo Voodoo hits Instant and Aegis Slash. It's Instant and the Aegis Slash. Instant has the Sugar Berry, so able to live that. Party Shot comes out from the Instant, drops that special attack and attack a little bit more. Instant swaps out, and in comes the Lantern. Max steals back into the Sudo Voodoo, and that Sudo Voodoo gone. That's a defense drop as well, a defense buff, sorry, for the side of Div. And in comes Pincurgent to get that Electric Surge up. Does Silly know that Lantern is going to be Volt Absorb? If he doesn't, then this is going to be really bad news for the side of Silly. It's going to completely wall that Pincurgent. So we know Pincurgent can run the Super Punch and Scald, but there's a Max Guard from the Aegis Slash. Rising Voltage blocked by the Aegis Slash Protect. Psychic hits into Lantern. Stockpile from the Lantern gives it that 2 times defense and the 1.5 speed def there, thanks to the Max Steel Spike from the previous turn and that stockpile. So Lantern really becoming a bit of a monster here, and we said if Silly doesn't know that Lantern's Volt Absorb, or it has been running Volt Absorb at least recently, Stand Strength is on the Aegis Slash, gets that King Shield Protect up. Rising Voltage, protected again. Psychic hits into the Lantern. Lantern's going to just tank that, and he chooses to stockpile again. So Lantern's just becoming a bit of a monster here, stalling out that Trick Room from that Mashana. As long as Dave can get an attack off here, get the Mashana down, then there's going to be no Trick Room, no speed control for the side of Silly, and it's looking very solid for Dave as we move into the end of this game number 1 with all 4 Mons on his side. In comes Claydol swapping out for the Aegis Slash. Protect goes out from the Lantern. Rising Voltage. Claydol's not going to do anything, take anything there. It's got Levitate. Psychic hits into Claydol, not going to do much there. No Sniffs, as that is a not very effective move. And there goes the Trick Room. Dave has all the speed control now. Obviously, Pincurgent really can't do a lot in this situation. It looks very much like it's locked in, so it looks like it's choice specs. Pincurgent just chooses Dynamax. Mashana goes down to the Skull from Lantern. Air Power hits into Pincurgent. Pincurgent not really taking much from that. And there's a Max Phantasm into Lantern. It's going to take down a bit of a defense, but it's not going to really do much. In comes Weavile, though, the final Mon for Silly. As we said, Dave still has all 4 Mons up. Pincurgent, as we said, it looks like it's choice spec with all those rising voltages. The Dynamax is going to sort of take that away. The Icicle Clash does take out the Claydol, so that's at least 1 Mon for Silly. Scald hits into the Weavile. Max Phantasm into the Lantern, gets another defense drop there, just trying to slowly chip away at it. So Weavile can do some physical damage. In comes Instant, though, to get that attack drop on the Weavile. That's not good news for Silly. While Lantern has that, buff defense, it's in a great spot. It just sort of keeps just living. Protect comes out from the Weavile, obviously expecting the fake out. Protect comes out from the Lantern. Fake out blocked by that Protect. Max Geyser hits into the Instant. Instant just sort of hanging on though, and the rain is set up, but there's no electric terrain, so if that is specs Pincurgent, it's still going to be locked into the Rising Voltage, and it's still not going to be able to do anything. Beat Up hits into the Lantern, it's not going to do very much. Scald hits into the Weavile, that rain boosted Scald's going to do a lot. The Parting Shot into Pincurgent as Aegis Slash comes back in. Aegis Slash completely walled. Rising Voltage hits into the Aegis Slash. It's not really doing anything with that special attack drops. And Lantern sort of neutral that damage. I'm sorry, not Lantern. Aegis Slash neutral that damage. But while the rain is up, Lantern can keep getting those rain boosts. Scald choosing Protector. There's the King Shield from the Aegis Slash. Icicle Crash hits into the Lantern. Rising Voltage into the Aegis Slash as another turn goes by. Dave just playing the stall game here, trying to just keep this game running as long as he can, and just frustrating Silly, trying to get into his head. And it's still about. There's the Sunshine though. Shadow Sneak hits the we've all just about hanging on. Icicle Crush is not going to do anything with the Lantern. Does get the flinch on the Lantern. Rising Voltage does take out the Aegis Slash. Is 2v2. There's still an outside chance that Silly can win this, but as I said, if it is Specs Pincurgent, it's going to be game over because he can't do anything to that Lantern. In comes Insane with that fake out pressure. If Weavile can protect you, then maybe, just maybe it stops that. There's the protect. Fake out goes into the Pincurchin though. Scald gets protected from the Weavile. Pincurchin is flinched. And it's going to be next turn that the Weavile is unfortunately going to go down. Unless it's able to get an attack off into that Insane. But regardless, it's going to go Insane. Takes the ice and crash in, doesn't go down. Scald hits into Weavile. And it's just all down to Pincurchin. Brick breaks the Pincurchin, not going to quite do enough Rising Voltage. Hits the Insane, does take it out. We've got a 1v1 battle here. But that is definitely Specs Pincurchin. And if it is Volt Absorb Lantern, it can't do anything. Scald hits into the Pincurchin, does burn, it gets 6 HP, and it is Volt Absorb Lantern. So this is game number 1. Advantage Dave, Pincurchin goes down to the Ben, and we move on to game number 3. So as we said, Dave unfortunately forfeited the game number 2 thanks to bringing a separate team. So Silly gets a game back on the board, so there's still a way back into this for Silly. This is a really good spot for him if he's able to just maybe try something a bit different. I said that the specs Pincurchin could potentially be a bad idea if Lantern's hanging around. It completely walls the Pincurchin. So in comes Rabombi and the Charizard this time from Dave, and Fletchling into Decidueye this time on the side of Silly. Decidueye we've not seen since I think week 2. For Silly, it came out with a weakness policy. Sudowoodo swaps out for the Decidueye. Tailwind comes out for the Fletching. Charizard chooses to fly, taking that solar power, but does get that attack buff from that. The Bombi hanging around. The sun is up, being set up for that Charizard to do some fire damage, but he's elected to fly there, which is quite a strange one. But in comes Weavile with its pressure. Sudowoodo chooses to Dynamax. Skill swap from the Rabombi, gets the pressure, and the shield disc goes onto the Weavile. Fly hits it to Sudowoodo, which is not going to do anything. Max Rockfall comes out, and that is going to take out the Charizard. Even with that Charty Berry, Charizard goes down, and Sudowoodo looking very, very strong here, taking out 1-1. So that is Dave's G-Max gone there, so Dave still can't Dynamax something else. Instinct comes out to get that attack drop on the Sudowoodo, and Weavile brings in that fake out pressure as we've talked about. Rabombi still hanging around. Obviously Rabombi, if it's able to hit a Moonblast off that Weavile, Weavile's not going to hang around with that. Obviously if that Weavile is sashed, the sash is now broken. Beat up hits into the Insane. Not sure about that one, but just do a little bit of chip damage to Insane. Moonblast into the Weavile, takes it out, and that is 1 apiece. Max Rockball comes out, and that's going to take out the Insane, so that is 2 mons down to the Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo just absolutely running house here. And Rabombi's not in a great spot either. Obviously he's not going to enjoy taking a Rockfall. In comes Lantern and Rabombi. The Decidueye has complete type advantage over Lantern as well here, and if it has a flying move, has a type advantage over Rabombi. So Dave is in a world of trouble here as we move into turn 3. Protect goes out from the Lantern. That Leaf Blade's going to get stopped by that. But there's the Bug Buzz at the Decidueye. Decidueye just tanking that, and there's the Rockfall and the Rabombi. Rabombi also going down to the Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo's ready to set up to have a complete clean sweep here. Sudowoodo's Dynamax does end. Lantern now has it all to do. Fletchling swaps in. There's the Leaf Blade onto the Lantern. Lantern just about tanking that Scald hit with Decidueye. Decidueye's going to resist that, but does get the burn. He fishes the burn, he gets it. Sandstorm, Jiff damage hitting into all the mons there, so Fletchling's not going to get that Gale Wings Tailwind up. So if Dave's able to hit that Fletchling with some sort of electric move, he's in a good spot. There's Lantern going for the Dynamax. Leaf Blade hits into it. Lantern just about hanging on through that. Tailwind comes out from the Fletchling. There's the Max Lightning into the Fletchling. Fletchling goes down, and it is now a 1v2. Sudowoodo now to come back in. Decidueye has obviously got that burn damage. No Sandstorm now. Back comes the Sudowoodo. Can Dave live an attack from both? He might be able to at least take one out here, but obviously that Decidueye going first. If the Decidueye gets a hit, and then if Dave's not able to take on the Sudowoodo or something, it's in a bad position. Leaf Blade comes out with Lantern just about hanging on. Hammer Arm though from the Lantern. That is game number 3. Silly coming back from no man's land to pick up the win. And that is going to be really good news for Silly. Silly is going to be moving to top of the league. Very unfortunate stuff from Dave there. Dave looked completely in control in that game 1. Really unfortunate with the wrong team bring there. He did it and shoot me. It was a complete accident. Just clicked on the wrong team, which it happens. It's unfortunate. We do have to obey the rules. Good guy Silly did offer to replay the game, but both sides showing good sportsmanship there and just allowing it to play out. And Silly able to pick up the game win there. Sudowoodo getting all 4 kills in that final game. So, after week 9's games, let's take a look at the league table. There's last week's league table. there is week 9. We have a new leader of the British Pokemon League. Bulu Boys dropping to second after that loss to Aaron's and Glorious Servers. Long Island Goomies taking that number 1 position for the first time since week 2. Toed Star Belgrade move up above Miami Heat after that win, thanks to that match record. Latvians and Miami Heat moving down to 4th. And Glorious Servers staying in 5th position, but now only a +1 match record behind Lat on the same record as the 3 teams above him. ShadowKings moving above Newcastle Thunderers after that win over Aurora Articuno, and Dave dropping down a position thanks to that loss to the Goomies. Gus staying bottom of the table, now on a 3-6 record with a -6 match record, which is a pretty unwanted record to have, but you know, it's never over till the fat lady sings. We've got plenty more Pokemon to play, as we always say. So let's have a look at next week's fixtures. Week number 10. We have got a big local derby game again as Bulu Boys take on Newcastle Thunderers. Big game between myself and Dave. Toed Star Belgrade taking on ShadowKings. So we all will be hoping to, you know, take advantage of that win against Latvian this week and get a win over ShadowKings. Gus versus Gus's Aurora Articuno taking on Aaron's and Glorious Servers. Aaron again will be looking to build upon that win this week over the Bulu Boys. Gus will be trying to bounce back from 2 game losses in a row. And Latvian Miami Heat taking on Silly's Long Island Goomies. That is a huge game. That is going to be 3rd place versus 4th place. You know, could make things a little bit more interesting if Latvian's able to get the win there. As there potentially be another couple of teams on a 6-4 record. But that is all to come next week. That is going to do it from myself this week. I hope you've all enjoyed the show. We've had no interviews this week. Unfortunately, no one was around to talk to us this week. But we will have some next week. I promise that one. But we will catch you all next week for week 10 of the British Pokemon League. We are edging ever closer to playoffs, and it's still too early to call. Again, we've got 4 teams on a 5-4 record. You know, if Silly lost the game there against Dave, we would have had 5 teams on a 5-4 record again. But it's all to play for. It's all getting exciting. I will see you all next Sunday at 1 o'clock. I've been Matt Star. See you all then.